Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're dropping right into one of the most unforgiving environments on the planet, the deep Amazon. We're tracking a staggering 800-kilometer solo survival journey, pushing right from the dense center of the rainforest all the way to the northernmost edge of the Amazon biome. And look, this isn't just a hike. It is a high-stakes, absolute battle against brutal terrain, extreme weather, and apex predators. If you really want to understand what it takes to survive the wild when everything is working against you, you are exactly in the right place. Let's get started.
Right off the bat, things get terrifying. Picture this. You're fast asleep in the pitch black of night, miles from absolutely anyone, and you wake up to the deafening sound of roaring water. It's monsoon season, which means these rivers are incredibly unpredictable. A sudden, violent flash flood completely swamps the campsite in minutes. The water rises over the rocks, the camp just washes away, and suddenly, survival depends entirely on scrambling to higher, drier ground in the dead of night. It's a really brutal reminder that the jungle landscape can turn lethal in literally a matter of minutes.
Okay, let's dive into this and map out the massive scale of this expedition. We are starting deep in the center of the rainforest, we're navigating straight over the 900-meter Kanuku Mountains at our midpoint, and our ultimate target is the mighty Rupununi River. It's a massive undertaking, so let's get moving. But hey, before you even reach the foothills, the jungle floor is basically a minefield. Take the Goliath bird eater, tarantula. It's officially the largest spider in the world, and yeah, it has massive, highly visible fangs. But its primary defense mechanism is honestly even more terrifying than its bite. When it feels threatened, it rubs its legs together to flick these barbed, venomous hairs right into the air. If those hairs get into your eyes or your throat, it acts like an airborne poison, completely debilitating you. You absolutely have to watch every single step you take. Honestly, navigating this kind of terrain alone is practically impossible. That's why encountering the local Makushi people is an absolute game changer. Here we meet Bento and his brother, master hunters who have survived in these super remote highlands for generations. They were actually just waiting on hidden platforms, perfectly camouflaged, hunting large rodents called agouti. The Makushi have this encyclopedic ancestral knowledge of the region's rivers, mountains, and wildlife. Without their guidance, figuring out how to safely chart a path over the flooded Kanuku Range just wouldn't happen. The Makushi also know exactly how to find food when those endless monsoon rains make normal fishing completely impossible. With the rivers so swollen, you gotta look for alternative protein, right? And that brings us to the sit-in caterpillar. These massive insects emerge in giant swarms during the rains. To safely eat them, there's a simple 3-step survival hack. First, you twist off the head. Second, you really thoroughly squeeze out the bitter green guts, which are basically just the toxic, nasty leaves the caterpillar has been eating. And finally, you eat the remaining gooey body. Look, if you ever find yourself stranded in the Amazon, remember this visually unappetizing but absolutely life-saving hack, because it provides the essential protein you need for the grueling climb ahead. Now, to physically clear a path over the mountain summit, a proper tool is totally required. So we get to witness some incredible jungle blacksmithing. We need a functional axe. First, the handle is carved from priga wood, which is famous down there for being as hard as iron. But the blade? It needs serious sharpening. Following the Makushi's advice, we head down to the river to find these ancient grooved sharpening stones. For centuries, the indigenous tribes have used these exact same river stones to hone their tools. It is such an incredible moment, using ancient history to literally forge a modern survival tool. All right, axe restored, calories consumed. Now, the brutal ascent begins. We're talking 900 meters straight up. The physical toll in that humid, completely suffocating jungle canopy is extreme. Your energy just drains completely out of you, and the air feels impossibly heavy. The climb culminates in a terrifying obstacle, scaling a sheer 60-meter-high cliff face. The rocks are loose, they're fragile, one wrong step, and it's over. But pushing past this cliff finally brings you above the rainforest canopy to the summit. Reaching the top is a massive victory for sure, but the descent brings its own lethal threats, and this brilliantly illustrates why you can never, ever lower your guard in the Amazon. Right there on the path lies a beautifully vibrant but extremely deadly coral snake. This reptile is absolutely loaded with potent neurotoxins. If it bites you, the venom specifically targets and paralyzes your diaphragm. You literally lose the mechanical ability to breathe. Encountering one of these is just a stark warning that every single inch of the jungle demands absolute hyper-awareness. So you survive the descent, you hit the valley floor, and boom, massive new problem. The monsoon rains haven't stopped at all, and the river you were supposed to walk alongside has completely broken its banks. The jungle has turned into this deep, impassable swamp, stretching on for miles. Walking through it is way too slow and burns way too much energy. So how in the world do you traverse this seemingly impossible, flooded labyrinth?
Well, the answer comes in the form of what feels like a miraculous archaeological discovery. Hidden just beneath the murky floodwaters, wedged right into the mud, is an abandoned, sunken Makushi canoe. It's been left behind, probably by a local tribe, and the wood is definitely starting to rot. But pulling this heavy, waterlogged dugout up from the depths offers a desperate, much-needed glimmer of hope. It is a literal lifeline out of the swamp. Let's just compare the reality of these two modes of travel for a second. Trudging through chest-deep floodwaters means fighting incredibly strong undercurrents, tripping over submerged roots, and exposing yourself to whatever predators are lurking beneath the surface. It just drains your calories rapidly. In contrast, even in a rotting, leaky traditional canoe, gliding over that exact same dangerous terrain saves hours of exhausting labor and protects you from all those submerged hazards below. It's quite literally the difference between failing and surviving. As we navigate these flooded creeks, we run into a local indigenous fisherman named Jenkins who's out checking his traps. And what he pulls out of the water is just wild, an electric eel. This is such a mysterious, bizarre creature. It has almost no muscles and is made almost entirely of fat. To hunt in these murky, zero-visibility waters and to defend itself, it can deliver a massive 650-volt shock. Now, what's really interesting about this is that touching it feels like sticking your finger directly into a live light socket. It had actually completely paralyzed a large catfish trapped right alongside it. Knowing our canoe is rotting and taking on water fast, Jenkins offers up some incredible jungle engineering to keep us afloat. He takes us over to a balata tree, which is a plant really revered by his ancestors. To patch the boat, he scrapes the bark, and it immediately bleeds this thick, sticky white sap that acts exactly like liquid rubber. By collecting this rapidly flowing sap and mixing it with dry bark fibers, they create a perfect watertight seal to plug those gaping holes in the canoe. The jungle truly provides everything you need, if you just know where to look. But here is the crazy thing about that balata tree sap. It's remarkably versatile. It's not just a waterproof glue, it's also highly flammable. As night falls, that exact same sticky sap is smeared onto sticks and lit on fire to create these bright, long-lasting torches. Armed with these, we can actually navigate the riverbanks in the pitch dark to hunt for freshwater crabs. And it works. It results in a high-protein, delicious seafood dinner that finally replenishes the massive amount of calories burned during that whole mountain crossing. Well, that relief doesn't last long. Eventually, the canoe reaches a total impasse, forcing us back onto land and right into the most brutal obstacle yet, the bamboo forest blockade. And guys, this isn't your average forest. The columns are so tightly packed they are practically impenetrable. Every single stalk is covered in these awful hook-like thorns that tear right at your skin and snag your clothes. The ground is just littered with razor-sharp debris that slices like glass. And worse, it's the absolute perfect camouflage for deadly ground-dwelling vipers. It is a suffocating, totally exhausting maze that just drains your final reserves of energy. Faced with this hellish blockade, you have to completely pivot your survival strategy. As the host perfectly puts it, this bamboo was my enemy, but now it will become my friend. Instead of fighting against the environment and trying to chop endlessly through the thicket, the strategy flips. Bamboo is incredibly buoyant and strong, so by harvesting these massive stalks, a really sturdy, life-saving raft can be quickly constructed to float down a nearby creek. You literally use the obstacle itself as the escape vehicle. And that one incredible pivot is what finally breaks the blockade. After a relentless, absolutely exhausting 64 kilometers of navigating flash floods, scaling those treacherous 900-meter peaks, repairing rotting canoes, and battling spiked bamboo forests, the objective is finally achieved. We emerge from the Kanuku Mountains and the swamp to see the wide, powerful expanse of the mighty Rupununi River. The mountain leg of the journey is officially conquered. It is an unbelievable victory. But in the Amazon, crossing one finish line just drops you at the starting line of the next nightmare. The river definitely offers a faster path north toward the coast, but right now it is violently swollen with monsoon rains. So I'm going to leave you with this thought. With the treacherous Kanuku Mountains firmly behind us, what deadly new challenges lurk in the massive, flooded rapids of the Rupununi River ahead? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring.